What's up, college football fans? Welcome back to Aim Up College Football. I'm JC, and in today's video, we have exclusive footage from the fight at LSU's practice.
Give you a little kiss on your forehead. Tell you everything's gonna be okay.
I've had enough of you, Man-Tooth. This is gonna end right here, right now. Begin!
Now I'll be number one.
No, you won't!
Boy, that escalated quickly.
It's good that LSU's fighting. That might sound counterintuitive, but here's why. It shows that LSU has that competitive fire, right? That's something that a coach cannot teach, but a coach can harness it, right? So all of his players, all of Brian Kelly's players, all the players on LSU's roster, they deeply care about this game enough where it's fall camp a month before the season's even started. And if you're beating me, I'm taking that personally, and I'm going to want to fight you for it. I'm not saying it's right, but it shows you how much they care. The offensive line seems to be the most improved unit on LSU's team from fall camp 2022 to fall camp 2023. At this time last year, I don't know if you guys were paying attention, but all you heard coming out of fall camp was how much LSU's defensive line dominated the offensive line. Now, that's not necessarily the case. You know, Mason Smith and Mekhi Wingo, they're getting stood up by these offensive linemen. You know, it's about a 60-40 battle right now where offensive line seems to be getting the better of the defensive line about 60% of the time. And that's really impressive considering LSU has one of the best defensive lines in the nation. We're expecting Mason Smith to be an All-American next year. Mekhi Wingo was an All-American last year, so he's going to be up there. He's a preseason watch list All-American guy. So the fact that this LSU offensive line is standing up to these guys at this point in the season is really promising. Another unit that's been really dominating so far has been the wide receiver room. And all these little like one-on-one drills, even the 7-on-7 and 11-on-11 drills, like the defensive backs are just getting absolutely dusted by the wide receivers. That's actually kind of resulted in a lot of tension in the practice, and it's why a lot of people think the fight kind of broke out on Monday. The wide receivers have been dominant, though. Everybody knew LSU had a lot of talent at the position. It'll be interesting to see how those talented freshmen like Jaylen Brown work their way into the rotation going forward, because we got a lot of talented vets, but Jaylen Brown's been running out there with the first team. Aaron Anderson, he's been a beast on the kickoff return unit. Even seeing him play some running back, which has been really interesting. He plays a lot of slot as well. And for those of you who aren't familiar with Aaron Anderson, that's the Alabama transfer wide receiver. At running back, there seems to be a really interesting development in fall camp so far. All 8 of the scholarship running backs have just been rotating in at the first team. Kind of think it'll end up being Josh Williams, No Kane, the other veterans who kind of settle as those top backs. This fall camp has been a very interesting one for LSU. Generally, at fall camp, you expect the defense to dominate because it's more read and react, and offense kind of takes more time, more reps. You need to get that chemistry up. But this year, the defense has been absolutely dominated by the offense. A lot of the drills in fall camp, you know, are also kind of skewed towards the offense, right? Like, it'll be a one-on-one where the quarterback and wide receiver know the route. They have the whole field to work with, and it's the defensive back with no pass rush. Yeah, that's kind of skewed against the defensive player. So keep that in mind. A lot of these defensive players are also new, so, you know, not only are they getting accommodated to playing defensive back at one of the most prestigious defensive back universities in America, but they're also just getting used to living in a new city, learning a new place, going to a new school. They're dealing with that Louisiana heat and humidity. Some of them, this could be their first time ever dealing with that. So that is definitely not something to be underestimated. I had really high hopes for Denver Harris coming into the offseason. He was a very highly touted transfer from A&M. He still seems to be working with the second and third team right now. One of the other transfers who's been a pleasant surprise, though, is Deuce Chestnut. He was a transfer from Syracuse. He was an all ACC corner over there, so maybe it shouldn't be such a surprise that he's been playing so well. But he's been really solidifying one of the corner spots for us. So it's just about finding, that second corner and that nickel guy. It could be somebody like a Brooks or Sage Ryan. Not quite sure who it's going to be yet. But it'll be very interesting to see how that fills out during camp. I feel like secondary is definitely the biggest question mark on this defense, right? The defensive line we know is very solid. We have All-American candidates Mason Smith and Mekhi Wingo on the middle. Lots of talented players on the outside. One area of concern for LSU in 2022 was the special teams. Lost them multiple games. Got us off to a horrendous start against Tennessee. Opening kickoff, bounced off the returner's head. Gave Hendon Hooker and Tennessee the ball inside their own 40 to start the game. That was a great way to start. May have been inside their own 20, honestly. It was pretty close. That was a horrible way to start the game. Against Florida State, we muffed 2 punts. We missed the PAT. We drove down. We were down 7 points, right? 1 minute left in the game. Jaden Daniels on the offense drive down and score a touchdown. So we're only down 1 point. Got to score the PAT to take it to overtime, and it ends up getting blocked. So lots of little errors like that throughout our season that really hurt us. SEC championship game was actually a close game. Okay, it was the first quarter, right? And things really got out of hand in that game after the field goal attempt was blocked and Georgia scored the touchdown. After that play, things really went downhill for LSU in that game. So special teams does not improve this year. That could be something that bites LSU again and makes them lose a few games. It's not looked great during fall camp so far, but hopefully they're just knocking the rust off, and that can be an area of improvement this season.